What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Well, no problem, then. If it'll help people gain more of an income beating monsters, I bet it'll make them try even harder for us.
And it'd have the side effect of boosting the trade in monster-derived materials, as well as providing another attraction for our nation. And once we have some more money to work with, we can divert some of that into welfare programs. I don't know how much we can do about illness, but serious injury? We could assist with it. If Japan can have universal healthcare, it's not a dream for Tempest to have something like it. A system like this is something we'll want to implement at an early stage in our nation's development, lest people call it unfair. If possible, I'd like to see that happen sooner than later. The problem is to figure out who, exactly, we'll call citizens of Tempest. Labyrinth runners, passing merchants, and people like that aren't, naturally. Maybe now is the time to register all our citizens and make the ownership of rights clearer to everyone. Tempest is a developing country right now, so we welcome any and all immigrants, but once our nation matures, there might be movements to ostracize non-citizens from our borders. A nation is, in a way, a large cooperative entity. Nobody can live alone, so we form communities to help one another survive. We don't need parasites latching onto our nation, and I didn't want to embrace anyone who didn't have a sense of belonging here. It's hard, after all, for people with different thoughts and principles to coexist in the same community. Basically, if a citizen belongs to a nation, they have a duty to work for the sake of it. In turn, they can receive certain services from that nation. That being said, people have the right to not belong to any nation, free of civic duty and retaining full, unfettered freedom. If you want to be part of Tempest, come on in. If not, you're still a welcome guest, but I can't provide you all the services a citizen would receive. We'll need to define the difference soon, and I think Rigard and I need to have some detailed discussions about this. See? I can think about serious stuff sometimes, too.
You think so? In that case, maybe we could mix in some unfamiliar potions, or weapons and armor whose capabilities are unknown. So you won't be able to determine if they're high value when you find them?
Oh, right. We were still in a conference. I hurriedly considered Masayuki's suggestion. I think I see what he's getting at.
Like, unappraised tools and equipment that you can't use until you get them appraised at the entrance?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't really drink a potion if you don't know its effect.
Oh, maybe some people would. And if we mix in some poison flasks, that'd be another labyrinth trap for us. It'd help warn people about making item appraisal a habit, too. Let's go with that.
Cursed equipment might be tough, but magic weaponry would be pretty neat. You think something is a piece of junk but appraise it to reveal its true colors.
That's good. You can't throw away junk then, and you'll also need to exit the labyrinth to have it appraised.
Masayuki and I, with our video game knowledge, were getting excited over this. The idea of actually implementing it was thrilling, and Ramirez and Veldora, overhearing us, seemed to be getting into it.
If you want to hide the true nature of something, my illusory magic ought to come in handy.
How lovely it is to see challengers jump for joy, only to be agonized by doom later. Now things will be even more exciting.
Yep, definitely into it.
Yes, and since junk equipment will take up valuable space, people will want to sell it in town in short order. That ought to boost return whistle sales.
And now here's Mjolmile with some more reality-based feedback. And he was right. Anyone would hesitate to toss out unappraised weapons and armor. Planting that thought in people's minds would make those people camping out in the labyrinth in search of big finds reconsider their strategy. And since we're charging admission, the more people going out and in, the more profit we make. Plus, we wouldn't be the only ones having fun here. There's something attractive about the term unappraised. Your heart can't help but race as you wait for the appraisal results, real pulse-pounding excitement. Something you thought was junk transforms into treasure before your eyes. And even if it turns out to be junk after all, you'll still treat it as your own. We don't need to have a ton of jackpot items like that, but along those lines, I think we could certainly mix in some more low potions and the like. That'll help support the lower-ranked customers, although we'll have to fine-tune the ratios of trash to treasure.
Alright, well, it's about time we get to work.
Time to push a system update, huh?
Masayuki replied. Given that we came up with all that only just now, it's about time wasn't too appropriate. But our last system update went just fine.
Sounds good to me.
Ramirez nodded, as if she knew what we were talking about. I flashed her a quizzical look, and she quickly averted her eyes. I suppose that little sneak was just trying to ride along on the wave. Mjolmile looked confused, and Veldora was back to his usual shrill laughing, but I didn't mind. Masayuki and I looked at each other and nodded. The following evening arrived. My days were now full of serious work. They were usually spent inspecting projects around town. No, it wasn't just a leisurely walk, I promise, and each night, I'd receive reports in my personal office. Rigard was handling a lot of my affairs, but a fair number of them still required my personal approval, so I had an office set up in our government building for that.
Sir Rimuru,
Shion said as she handed me a sheaf of papers.
Here's your report from Sir Mjolmile.
She was a hard worker, almost like a real secretary. Kind of surprising.
Yes, thank you,
I said, trying to sound all haughty as I accepted the report. Mjolmile was already getting started on what we discussed at yesterday's meeting.
Everything's going well.
I muttered.
I am delighted to hear.
Diablo said, nodding.
In hardly any time flat, our tavern sales are up 10%. I guess it benefits all our citizens if the low-ranked adventurers have more money to work with.
Indeed. It's just as you read it, Sir Rimuru.
Diablo nodded again as he gently poured some tea for me. It's not at all like I had read it, actually, but it was pretty much what I hoped for. I couldn't be happier. Diablo was overvaluing me, like he always did, but it didn't bother me this time. I took a sip.
Huh? This tastes different. Did you change the leaves?
Did you not like it?
No, it's good, but
It wasn't displeasing at all. Maybe just a tad stronger on the bitterness than usual.
I'll replace it at once.
An apparently panic-stricken Diablo said. But he really didn't need to. It was just fine, no problems to speak of. It's just that Shuna always brings her a game when it comes to preparing tea. Wait a minute.
hey, is this?
Yes, your chief secretary insisted on preparing it herself. I tasted it to ensure it wasn't poisonous.
Okay? That's a surprise, seeing Shion prepare tea this good. The even greater surprise, though, was Diablo actually cooperating with her.
I never thought you'd go with Shion on that.
Poison doesn't work on me anyway, so I assumed Diablo was simply taste testing it, but that made it even more of a surprise.
I had no other choice.
He replied with a smile.
Sir Benimaru was balking at being her taster every day. It was my first experience ever feeling ill, a chance I'm glad to have had.
I really don't think that's a necessary experience, but this time, I definitely needed to thank him. Shion looked really happy, after all. She's really grown, huh? Once upon a time, her home-cooked cuisine was more hazardous to your health than the deadliest of poisons, but now here she is getting tea just right. No magic or skills or anything. Her violin performance during the festival was another surprise. I'm being wowed all the time lately. It truly felt like an emotional moment to me.
Diablo, thank you.
No.
And Shion? Well done. You did great.
Yes, thank you very much.
Next time, I think I'll have Shion pour my refills. It was a little overly bitter, but I was happy. Then I recalled that I had never delivered Diablo his promised reward.
By the way, I still owe you a reward, don't I? You did an excellent job with the Pharmus invasion, and here I've been giving you menial labor ever since you got back.
No, it's my hope to be of service to you, Sir Rimuru.
Well, yeah, but
I had given Hakuro some vacation time. He was off happily training somewhere with his daughter Momiji. Gobta, I took to our special elf-run club down on floor 95. He didn't quite deserve a membership card yet, but I intended to dangle that as a carrot for his future endeavors. Of course, he was still off God knows where with Milam at the moment. Veldora grumbled a bit about wanting to toughen him up, too, but I hope he doesn't. That's just being cruel by that point. For Gabble, I had a new research facility built, beyond the door that Veldora guarded on floor 100. He'd be the head of this laboratory, with Vester as his second in command. Gabble would be overseeing what had grown into a pretty large research team, so it was a fairly big promotion. So along those lines, I had given what I thought were appropriate rewards to everyone. Not doing anything for Diablo, someone who worked so hard by my side, was out of the question.
In that case,
Diablo said as I thought this over.
there is something I would like your permission for.
He always had the greatest knack for reading a room like that.
go ahead, say it.
Very well. I was thinking that I would like someone working under me to handle my more miscellaneous duties.
Oh, like making tea?
I knew he wasn't a fan of that. I couldn't blame him. Why would a demon as powerful as Diablo willingly brew tea for a slime? Even I thought that was a bit bonkers.
No, not that, Sir Rimuru. Taking care of your personal affairs is one of my most vital responsibilities. I am talking about miscellaneous tasks like raising nations to the ground. Someone I could perhaps send in my place to handle that. I, personally, will always be by your side, Sir Rimuru.
He smiled as he said it. Come on, that's real work, not miscellaneous tasks. But to Diablo, I guess taking care of me was more important than waging wars. I really don't get what's in his mind sometimes.
Ah, I see. But I can't have someone with that kind of power working under you.
Someone with the intelligence and muscle to take down an entire country? It'd have to be someone like Benimaru or Soe. I wanted to make Diablo's wish come true, but this was asking a little too much. However, it turns out I was jumping to conclusions.
No, I have no intention at all of standing above Sir Benimaru or anything of the sort. There are some old acquaintances of mine I am considering, so I thought I would invite him.
So he wanted to hire some people? I didn't have any problem with that.
That sounds fine by me, but will you need some money?
I imagined he would, which is why I asked, but Diablo smiled and shook his head.
No, I doubt they would be interested in money. In place of that, however, they will need some manner of vessel to serve as their physical bodies.
Ah, now I get it. If this is an acquaintance of Diablo's, it's probably gonna be another demon.
Alright, is it okay if it's something like what I gave to Beretta?
If Diablo insisted on a human corpse, we were gonna have problems. Things were a bit different now from when I first summoned him.
Yes, I'll ensure they don't complain.
Then fine. Ramirez was just bugging me, in fact, about providing physical bodies for trainees' sisters as well. I said yes, since they could help us run the labyrinth. Maybe I should craft a few extra bodies while I'm at it, just in case.
That's fine by me, then, but is that the only payment they'll want?
That is not a problem. But I think that the protégés I am considering each have a staff of their own as well. I was thinking about bringing them on, too. Is that all right?
As breathlessly confident as always, I see. It's like he never once considered the thought of being turned down.
I can't pay them, but would they care?
If you can provide them with physical bodies, they will gladly serve you, Sir Rimuru.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to Jackson5Jack, Wilfred Miller, Sama Nisan, Wabalabadubdub, Luminaseka, Martin Rodney, Amkar Gujar, Michael, Carl Edison Ferrer, and last but not least, shout out to Eternus Omega. I'll see you guys in the next video.